The chair recognizes Mr. Ryan from New York for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing me to join. Thank you, Administrator, not only for your service to our nation now, but also for your service to New York in your previous roles. As I believe you're aware, and certainly your team is aware, several communities in my district in the Hudson Valley of New York, Cornwall, Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery, and West Point were absolutely devastated in early July with unprecedented over 8 inches of rain in just a few hours, absolutely overwhelming all of the systems, processes, resources that the community had ever had to deal with or prepare for. Tragically, we did lose one young woman to that flood. We've had hundreds displaced. Since the flood, my team and I have personally spoken with hundreds of affected residents. As is always the case, and you know this well, each of their stories is just heartbreaking. One that I cannot stop thinking about, a veteran in my community, 100% disability rating from the VA, who suffered TBI and other serious injuries, still fighting and struggling to get any help to rebuild his home that was completely condemned. And despite all the work by you and your team, despite the declaration of a federal disaster and some of the public assistance, folks like him and hundreds of others are still without any help and any relief. Almost none of them had flood insurance because of the topography of where they live. It was absolutely almost impossible that they could have experienced something like this, but tragically they did. So I want to commend you and thank the President and the administration for pushing to declare the disaster declaration, for working with a good team on the ground to start to get the public assistance flowing. But the number one question that I hear still in our office is, why have we not received an individual assistance declaration? Both the breadth, but really the depth of the damage for several hundred families is just devastating. And the gentleman's story that I shared is just one. We've got kids living in condemned homes because they just have no other options, seniors without homes. So I've invited you to come. I know you're very busy, but I would ask you or one of your senior leaders to commit to come and look those folks in the eye with me, help explain what's going on, and brainstorm what we can do to help them. Can we count on you to do that, Administrator?
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously don't have the specifics on why we haven't yet. Happy to look into that personally, but you have my commitment. If I can't make it, one of my senior leaders can join you to better understand the impacts to this community.
I appreciate it. And building on questions from several of my colleagues, specifically Mr. Huffman, can you explain why in the midst of a disaster like this, it is so darn hard and complicated and opaque, which seems to be a theme that we've heard throughout the questioning, that we can't just answer residents who are devastated why they're not getting individual assistance, and what we can do to change that, what my team and I, what all the local officials and our governor and our county leadership and local leadership who've all been working as a team. Can you help explain that?
Yeah, there are a number of factors that we look at when we are making a determination on whether to recommend a declaration for both public assistance and individual assistance. And again, a good portion of that falls on what the capacity of not just the local jurisdiction is, but what the state should be able to do to also support. And we understand when there's communities, small rural communities in states like New York that have large urban centers, that it creates a greater capacity that the state should be able to come in and also provide a level of assistance. And so all of those are factors that are taken into consideration, not just the impact to the one community, but how much the state should also be able to support.
And I appreciate your commitment to personally look into this. I can tell you on the ground, while the state has contributed significantly, it is nowhere near meeting the need, specifically for folks, frankly, that don't qualify for some of the income thresholds, but had no flood insurance and are far beyond their means to repair devastating damage. So we have to, as Americans, be able to figure out how to navigate this. And myself and my team will be available anytime, anywhere to you and your team. So thank you to your folks that have been on the ground and helping. And we'll certainly be persistent in following up with you on your kind commitment today. So thank you. I yield back, Madam Chair. or Mr. Chair, I apologize.